A major new drama over 3 nights. Victorian England provides the backdrop for a potent blend of murder and intrigue.
You can't just kill one. You've got to kill them all.
Father!
What are you suggesting?
That he was poisoned. Oh. Don't you find it odd, stepmother, how father died? He's never been ill in his life.
Isabel!
Please help me.
The Blackheath Poisonings begins on Thames next Monday and continues next Tuesday and Wednesday at 9.
Friends, relatives, and particularly an ex-husband are causing problems for the Golden Girls on Channel 4 in a moment.
And tales for men.
Oh, for over 4,000 great value gifts. Look in your Argos catalogue. Oh, it's your guide to low prices.
Kellogg's Rice Krispies chocolate treats. Considerably easier than ABC.
To Birmingham, with the third exit of Spaghetti Junction. Take the second on the right, left of the lights, straight past the green man, and we're down there on the left-hand side. Okay then, see you Monday. The third exit of Spaghetti Junction. Left of the light, past the green man, left, right. Graham, nice to see you. Take a seat.
Before we start, can you tell me where the loo is?
Yeah, get through the door, second on the left, past the drinks machine. I'll tell you what, I'll show you.
On Sky Television, you can choose from over 300 movies every month. See some of Hollywood's biggest hits, biggest stars.
This is business.
On British television first.
Hear the screaming of the lamb.
3 movie channels presenting 9 movies every night of the year. At Dixons, subscribe to Sky's movie channels and Sky Sports and get £20 off this Amstrad system, available on interest-free credit. Dixons for satellite. Sky, bringing television to life.
What's more than a hot drink? More than paracetamol? More than decongestant? Lemsip. Now you're getting warm.
Come on, Colin, we've all had ours.
Oh, don't worry about me, love. I've packed some sarnies.
Sarnies?
No.
Colin? Oh, typical. When I've lovingly prepared a delicious chicken casserole. Well, we can't waste it, can we, George?
You took the words right out of my mouth. So, gluck, 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 it's chicky time, chicky time.
George.
Greedy old traditional chicken casserole mix by George's Coleman's.
The picture on your TV is built up of horizontal lines which flicker and are likely to disturb the images on your screen. On a new Philips 100Hz digital scan television, that doesn't happen. The new Philips 100Hz flicker-free technology gives you a visibly clearer picture. Now, let Philips open your eyes.
There's a free cake decoration on special Sun-Made packs. So now your Christmas cake can look as good as it tastes.
Tonight at 10:50.
It's no contest. I'm married and she's got $200 million.
Rob Lowe's thoughts turn to murder in Masquerade. Tonight at 10:50.
This is Thames Television. The time is 10 o'clock.
From the headquarters of ITN, News at 10, with Trevor McDonald.
Widespread flooding across 5 counties and more to come. Cameliad shipyard to close after 160 years. 3 British UN officers are taken hostage in Cambodia. And the hospital where 2 babies may have been given to the wrong parents. Good evening. The forecasters were right. Up to 2 inches of rain fell today, and the wind was up to storm force in many areas. There was more flooding, roads and rail lines were closed, and schools and businesses were disrupted across the country. The rain moved east during the day, but the National Rivers Authority warned homeowners and farmers in the West Country not to drop their guard. More bad weather is expected. In Blackpool, a man died after he was washed over the seawall. Near Penrith in Cumbria, 2 people were slightly hurt when a train ran into a landslide. But Wales saw the worst of the flooding. Devon and Cornwall, Avon, Somerset, Dorset, Wiltshire and Hereford and Worcester also took a battering. Vernon Mann has our report.
From the air, we viewed some of the Welsh rivers on red flood alert. The Taff, swollen by day after day of relentless rain, the like of which has not been seen here for 50 years. These are the municipal playing fields in Pontypridd. And this is the High Street, barely passable for most of the day. Residents took advantage of low tide to bucket out the water from their homes.
Well, I can't believe this. It's like something out of a film.
There are no flood defences here. Sandbags didn't help anyone, including the shopkeepers. At Tredegar, 10 miles from Aberfan, the rain turned a slag heap into slurry. Thousands of tons of it slid into a comprehensive school playground, reawakening fearful memories of that past disaster.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's always in the back of your mind now that, you know, it's going to be another Aberfan. I don't think the school should have ever been built there in the first place.
In West Wales, there is serious flooding in the Towy Valley around Carmarthen. Streets underwater, the boat club marooned. Men from the National Rivers Authority moved their fires to higher ground as firemen prepared to rescue a flock of stranded sheep. Near Looe in Cornwall, the railway line's been cut by floodwaters, as have several main lines in the region. In Devon, thousands of acres of farmland are submerged. But good news on a dismal day from Dartmoor. 6 walkers lost in atrocious conditions have been rescued, exhausted but safe. North of Gloucester, the River Severn burst its banks. On the Wye, an 18th century toll bridge was partly washed away near Witney. Everywhere, emergency services were stretched to their limits, this at Westbury-on-Severn. And still it rains. More and more rivers bursting their banks, the question on everyone's lips, when will it end? Forecasters offer some hope, but are making no promises. Vernon Mann, News at 10 in the West Country.
As we've seen, the Welsh valleys have had just about the worst of it. Colin Baker joins us now live from Pontypridd. Colin, what's the latest there?
Well, Trevor, it has stopped raining in the South Wales valleys, but the problem is there's still a lot of water cascading off the mountains into the River Taff, which, as you can see, flowing through Pontypridd, is now running very, very fast indeed. The good news is that since about 6 o'clock this evening, the water level has dropped by about 4 or 5 feet. Earlier, this little street, Science Street, where I'm standing, was under about 2 foot of water earlier this morning. It swept across here, over into these cottages on this side of the road. Now, the local authority are actually building some flood barriers here, some flood walls, but the work isn't finished. They don't work. Ironically, weather held up the workmen working here. And the river, well, the tide is coming in at Cardiff in about an hour from now, and it was thought that it would push the water back up, but that actually hasn't happened. So it looks like it's going to be a good night for Pontypridd.
Colin, thank you very much indeed. The Cameliad shipyard at Birkenhead is to close next summer with the loss of 900 jobs. Cameliad built the battleships Rodney and Prince of Wales and the liner Mauretania. It played a vital part in the Second World War and went on to build both Ark Royals and HMS Conqueror, which sank the Belgrano. But times changed and orders for the Navy dried up. Our industrial correspondent Stephen Cape reports on the end of a long shipbuilding tradition.
The closure of the yard will mark the end of shipbuilding on the Mersey after 150 years. Once there were 16,000 workers here. Today there are just 900, and they'll all go by next June.
Well, I'd just be one of the number unemployed. That's it. with any hope of a job?
No, no hope of a job. Not in this area, especially.
The yard built submarines for the Royal Navy. It's been up for sale for 2 years, but no one wants to buy it. Owners VSEL say the recession, the peace dividend, and the lack of EC funds to allow it to compete for orders finally resulted in its demise.
Very sad, but there's no way in which I, as an industrialist, can provide them with work if there's no work to do.
In its heyday, Camel Laird built some of the world's greatest ships. The Mauretania, the Windsor Castle, and HMS Ark Royal. In the Commons today, the local MP tried and failed to get an emergency debate on the closure.
Today, Camel Laird has been told that it should quietly die in July. We have no intention of accepting that option.
Camel Laird's order book dries up by next summer, and union leaders call the closure decision a disaster, which could have been avoided.
It's down to the government entirely. Camel Laird's are not being allowed to play on a level playing field. Eastern European shipyards are having access to funds denied to Britain. Who pays into that fund?
Despite the protests, Camel Laird is unlikely to survive, consigned like so many other British yards to the history books.
Britain is tonight demanding the release of 3 British UN officers who were kidnapped and taken hostage by the Khmer Rouge in central Cambodia. The 3 were part of a group of 6 UN troops. The Britons are Captain Richard Williams of the Welsh Guards, who comes from Cambridgeshire, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Walton of the Royal Artillery from Nottinghamshire, and Royal Navy Lieutenant Scott Verney from Northamptonshire. Michael Nicholson at ITN reports.
The UN continued their river patrols today despite the kidnappings, determined not to be intimidated by Cambodia's biggest and bloodiest bullies. The 6 hostages are in touch by radio. They say they're being given food and water, but that's all they are being allowed to say. Yesterday, the UN imposed sanctions on the Khmer Rouge for breaking the ceasefire agreement, and this is their response. This and the wounding of 6 more UN troops by landmines, the worst peacekeeping day in Cambodia since the UN first went there in March. A French lieutenant colonel was also wounded this morning by Khmer Rouge fire as he flew by helicopter to Kompun Tom to the area to negotiate the men's release.
They were stopped at an NADK checkpoint on the river. They'd gone through several previously, but they were stopped at one, asked to come ashore. When they were brought ashore, they were not allowed to leave that area.
The Khmer Rouge have accused the United Nations officers of spying for the Phnom Penh government, patently absurd. What they're after is any excuse to scupper a hard-fought peace agreement, and confrontation with the UN is the easy way to go about it. The British Foreign Secretary, Douglas Hurd, has demanded the men's release and for the Khmer Rouge leaders to respect the peace accords, but it will take more than harsh words to bring these people to heel.
And a United Nations soldier serving in Bosnia has been kidnapped. The man, a Dane, was taken while jogging in a Croatian town north of Sarajevo. As UN peacekeepers struggle to do their job, pressure for a force of peacemakers is increasing. There'll be a special one-day international conference in Geneva later this